the most tremendous new musical experience you can have.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Logan, and I'm here bringing y'all the review to the only good album that came out this past weekend. That is the LOX, LOX, Living Off Xperience. Now this one clocks in at 14 songs and 57 minutes, and most of y'all should know who LOX, LOX is. That would be Styles P, Jadakiss, and Chic Loach. Dear God, I probably mispronounced the crap out of that, but whatever. This is their first album since 2016, and that album in 2016 was the first one since 2000. They only have 4 albums altogether, and I mean, like I said, y'all should know who they are. They're a classic group who are proving that they have plenty of gas left in the tank. Of course, they had 2 records back, one in the late 90s and then in 2000, and then they had their solo careers go on for a while where Jada and Styles P kind of blew up, and you didn't really hear that much out of Chic. Not as much anyways. Jada actually having at least one classic record, I would say, Kiss of Death. Styles P, I don't know that I could say he's had any classic records, but both of them have definitely cemented themselves as solo artists. But to see them come in and work together is always fun as well because they have amazing chemistry. So if we're going to go ahead and go into the pros on this one, of course, they always keep the same aggressive, grimy style that works for them for the most part. They do change it up here and there, but you know when they're doing that, it's going to work. They come with some very solid bars and flows over production that's made just for them, of course. That's just something that you can expect from them. That's something that you've seen in their previous work. That's something you can plan to continue to see if they make anything past this one. Also on this one, the features are very well placed and they work great with their style. They pick the features very well, and I will talk about all the songs with features on them for the most part, or at least the ones that stood out the most for me. And again, like I said, the chemistry is there. It works so well. You can tell that they've worked together for a while. Their styles play off of each other very well, and it's enjoyable to hear that. Now, if I'm going to talk about the cons, it's not an overly focused album, which is something you could probably expect from these artists, especially in a group album. Usually group albums aren't that focused anyways. And then these guys aren't necessarily storytelling rappers. They're going to have their focus of a song here and there, but for an overarching message, just not going to happen. I don't see that as a terrible downside, but it's usually a positive whenever it does happen, so I guess I would have to say it's a con. This definitely feels like a 2000s album, early 2000s, maybe late 90s album. That kind of also plays into the part of it not being overly focused. That just wasn't popular back then for albums to be all that focused as they are nowadays. But going back to how this is more of a late 90s, early 2000s album, it just kind of doesn't fit with the style of today. You can take that as you will. I enjoy it. I enjoy the style back then, but you can also tell how music has evolved and to some degrees gotten better because of that. But other parts, it's still nice to get that nostalgia. So you can take that as a pro or a con either way. I put it as a con just for the people who... that style can get played out, so this one doesn't have as much re-listenability. Considering the variances of music that are coming out nowadays is how I'm going to interpret that. But regardless, still, I do enjoy that sound. And then some of the songs just seem a bit too long for me. Honestly, this would have benefited from being a 40-minute project altogether instead of 57 minutes. And a lot of the songs just clock in over 4, over 5 minutes and just seem to go on for too long that they eventually lose your interest, lose their entertainment value for me. Not all of them, I'm going to say. Some of the longer songs are still very solid and maintain your attention for the entire track, but just not every single one of them. It's not like all 14 tracks on here are amazing standout tracks. That's just not the case. Speaking of standouts, I will go ahead and go into the standouts, which for this I just talked about the 3 songs that had the best features in my opinion. First one being DMX on Bow-ish. Of course, y'all know what it really says. We just like to keep it PG on this channel. There's just something about hearing DMX in 2020 that makes me happy. He's still just as aggressive as ever, if not even more aggressive now. I mean, he really went hard on this track, which works very well with the chemistry with the group. Of course, again, Styles P, Jada having their patented aggressive bars. just a very solid track that feels like it could have been recorded back in the late 90s, early 2000s, but is coming out in 2020. So I really enjoyed that one. And like I said, I enjoy hearing DMX. You don't hear about him all that often. So hearing him in 2020 is very fun. And I mean, maybe he'll come out with some stuff soon. Who knows? Anything could happen. 2020 has been a crazy year, but it's been a great year musically, in my opinion. So anything could happen there. I mean, we got a Gangstar album last year, so hey. Anyways, moving on to the next track, Miss You, featuring T-Pain. How do you expect this one to sound? Yeah, that's exactly how it sounds. So it's got some softer production and a very solid T-Pain hook. It's a little bit more of an introspective track where they focus more on the topic of being missed, being remembered. Of course, Miss You. So yeah, it's a pretty solid track. Not exactly in their wheelhouse. I mean, not saying that they don't have range. They have range, and they can definitely pull off a song like this. Not saying they don't pull this one off. They do, but you know, it's not their it's not what you expect to hear. It's not what you want to hear coming to a LOX album, of course. So there are better tracks on here, although this one is still good. And I would be complaining if they didn't try something different here and there. So like I said, this is a necessary track to have. It's just not going to be my absolute favorite because it's not in their style. That being said, other than the DMX track, this next track is my favorite one, and that is Think of the LOX. This one features Westside Gunn and Benny the Butcher, so y'all already know. Got a very old school beat with some solid DJ scratches, great bars, flows. Westside lends a great hook. Benny comes in and kills his feature. Of course, he's one of the best feature artists in the game, so naturally, I mean, overall, just giving some love to some older new heads. I say older new heads because Westside and Benny kind of joined the rap game late, considering they're almost 40 years old. But a very solid track that makes use of some great features that I would have loved to hear them work together for a long time. So I like that. In conclusion, you know, if you like LOX, you're going to like this one. You can feel the chemistry just like it's always been there. They come together with the same sound that they came with earlier, just with the advances in technology and the advances in their maturity. Of course, they've grown as artists individually. They've had their successful solo careers, so they're not coming with the exact same stuff, but it is still very similar. I wouldn't call this grown man rap the way I would like 444 or Life is Good, you know. Overall, this was a pretty surprising release that I didn't expect to come out. It just kind of took me by shock. Not that they weren't advertising it or anything. It's not like we're going to drop this at midnight to surprise everybody. You know, it's not like that. It's just like, who really expects a LOX album to come out in 2020? But I'm not complaining at all. Again, a really great group of artists who have had very solid solo careers. So I'm not complaining about this one at all. I enjoyed it. I'm going to come back to bits and parts of it, but I'm probably not going to revisit this whole album if I'm totally honest. Like I said, it just goes on for a bit too long at times. And not every single track is a standout. That being said, my rating is still going to be a very positive one where I'm going to say it's solid. However, it would be great if it were shorter. 7.5 out of 10. That's just my thoughts on this one. That is a rating that, if I'm totally honest, I forgot I even had created. So I'm glad I get to use it again. Yeah, just trimmed out. Like, you don't even have to cut out songs. I'm not asking for a 9, 8, 7 track album, EP, whatever you want to call it, that comes out in only 30 or 40 minutes. Honestly, just chop off a minute of some of the tracks where they go on for a bit too long. Like I said, I'm not going to complain too much about this one, though. Still a really enjoyable album. Not every single album has to be an album of the year contender. On the flip side of that, that doesn't make it trash if it's not. So, no complaints. Very solid album with some positive moments that I enjoyed a lot. I would recommend checking this one out. If you have, let me know what you thought about it in the comment section. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell next to my name for notifications. I appreciate y'all so much, and I will hit y'all up next time.